We've been waiting on stimulus for, has it been since June now? No, earlier, April, since the last CARES bill. And they finally seem to have agreed to a new deal this week. And we found out that it was a mere $600. You have people like Ron Johnson today. He came out, you know how Josh Hawley was proposing a $1,200 checks, like just standalone checks, nothing else in it. Ron Johnson, senator from Wisconsin, Republican, came out and said that he actually blocked the bill right after Hawley proposed it, saying the deficit was too high. The deficit.
Yep. But they have no problem, passing budgets for the defense. For defense contractors. They have no problem doing any of that, right? Because that's just routine. But it's not routine to help people, Matt. That's the point that I think is made, is that it is not routine to just help Americans. So they have to negotiate back and forth for about 6 months in order to pass a freaking not even $1,200 check one time. $600? $600.
Yeah.
That is like $100 per month over 6 months. That's absolutely insane. I don't know how people are not rioting in the streets because of that.
Yeah, and it's these senators are so hypocritical. Where were you talking about the deficit back when you signed the original CARES package, where the majority of it didn't, despite the fact that we at least got $1,200 checks, the majority of that money, it's like $2.2 trillion, still went to the corporations. And then literally like a month ago, he voted for the defense reauthorization bill. It was like $740 billion. Like it made me think this morning, like goes back to what Andrew said in the spring, where he's like, when the house is on fire, you don't worry about how much the water costs. But I guess like the lesson here, and I was thinking about this earlier today, and it's pretty sad to think about, but they just don't view us as, the priority. Like we are the economy, but they don't view it as us. And I was thinking this morning about how, like, if you think back to like the Constitution and stuff, like the founding of the country and like the principles that were set up, we were supposed to have a government of, by, and for the people. Like that's written in the Constitution, that's agreed on. Like what our system is so broken, such an utter failure, that during the worst health and economic crisis since the Great Depression, that we can't even get something that 76% of Americans agree on. And it's over 70% of Republicans, 70% of independents. Like this isn't partisan. It's not like it's 100% of Dems, but only like 30% of Republicans. Everybody agrees we should do this. Give cash to the people. But we have a government that is straight up just unwilling to do it. It doesn't matter really. I mentioned Ron Johnson, but it's not like, Nancy Pelosi this whole time seemed to really have it like as a super priority to make sure that stimulus checks were included in whatever bill has been coming out. She just talks about all this other partisan nonsense, like, and it's always in this like fancy language, like, like the fancy terminology about, oh, we need these liability protections for blah, 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 for blah corporation. The average American's like, I don't know what that means. All I know is I can't pay my rent and I need help. And so I feel that it's very sad to me.
It is incredibly sad. And also what you just said, how they complicate things. And, when Nancy Pelosi never gives a straight answer when like she's confronted about the stimulus and everything. Like she's like, when it basically implied now that Biden's won, they can just try and pass the stimulus. That's even smaller now that Biden's won. It's basically amounted to what she said in a very roundabout way. I think they intentionally actually make all of these things sound complicated too, when they're being questioned about these very, very simple concepts, like giving cash to people, right? Like it's not complicated to understand that you're giving cash to corporations. It's not complicated to understand that you might want to give that cash instead to people, but they make it all sound so complicated by putting other things into the bill that doesn't need to be put into the bill. I think they do that honestly, intentionally, to create conflict so that they actually justify what they're doing up there.
I mean, if you think back to the original, the HEROES Act, that the Democratic House passed in May, which, you know, while all the negotiations were ongoing between Democrats and Republicans all summer and through the early fall and up till the election, anytime that you'd say like, hey, like, come to a deal, guys, like, we need a deal, like somebody would like be like, but the Democrats, they passed the HEROES Act back in May and the Republicans didn't vote for it. It's like, true, but that original HEROES Act contained a bunch of crap in it that had nothing to do with COVID. One of the things, for example, was it wanted to allow marijuana businesses to get access to banking. Everybody watching this knows I'm as pro marijuana as you can get, but even I think it's stupid to tie that to COVID relief when I know that this has to get passed by Republicans who think weed makes you insane, as well as Paget, who thinks weed makes you insane. Just kidding.
I do not. I do not. But
I was just making a joke. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think it's 100%. Yeah. I actually can't stand it when like the other argument for the Democrats is, well, the difference is, and I keep on hearing that the Democrats already passed the HEROES bill a long time ago. That was never going to get through ever. Yeah. Like it had things like what you're talking about, right? I think it even had stuff about around diversity in it and just things that there's just no way that Republicans are going to be able to wade through all of those things and come back and say, yep, we're definitely signing off on all that. And they knew that. Yeah. The Democrats basically wanted to stuff a whole bunch of things to pad the bill so that it came out to be a really big number to look really generous. And at the end of the day, know that the Republicans, no way in hell we're going to actually go for it.
It was politics. That's all it was.
Yeah.
You're 100% right when you say that Democrats knew the moment that they passed, before that bill even passed, that it had no chance of ever being realistically passing.
100%.
And so it goes to show that it's all just politics. You hear the line "people over politics," but we definitely don't have the people. Definitely aren't being put over politics right now. And I mean, some of these people are just so out of touch on both sides. I remember, or you were saying earlier, like about some about like just a moment ago, you're talking about like interviewing these people or whatever you said when they're being asked questions, they purposefully like make it all complicated. They either do that or they do what Pelosi did, who when she gets questioned by Wolf Blitzer says, we feed them. Do you feed them? Well, who's feeding us right now? Is it like, I don't understand. Like, where are you, Pelosi? That people are so desperate. If you're willing to come give us some of your ice cream, we're going to take it. But I just want to say real quick, but then on the Republican side, you have people like Jim Jordan, who he tweeted today, if you want to pull it up, the best stimulus ? A job. They tweet this for clout, like likes on Twitter. Like that, honestly, Jim Jordan.
Look how many likes he actually even got on this.
He probably thinks that this is like some really clever thing. Like, you need stimulus, you need checks. Get a job, response, loser. Like, and he's like, give me all my like so out of touch,
I love your response. I love your use of this picture. It's very classic, but I also really like this response. You know, what the F do you, or frankly, anyone in Congress know about a job when you are failing to do yours and provide desperately needed relief to the people? Boom. They're talking about jobs. I'm sorry, but you are employed by us. Technically, your salary is because of our taxes. So what the hell are you doing when it comes to a job? How are you justifying your job? Why should you be getting paid at all?
Again, 76% of Americans agree on this. 70% of Republicans. Like, who does he think he's representing besides corporations and special interests? Like, you're not for the people. Like, not even Republicans agree with you. It's so frustrating.
Yeah. I mean, it's just
the utter like the contempt that these people have for regular people. And I like Republicans all the time will go on and on about how like, ooh, Democrats are the party of elites. And to a certain degree, like, and with some of the language that like rich Hollywood type Democrats use. Maybe that's true to some degree, but it's no different for the Republican Party. You don't care about regular people. You're lying when you say like, America's the greatest country ever. All of our patriots are so great. Like we take like no, it's BS.
And look at this, Matt. I mean, I know that you already know this, but just so that we can let this really settle in, right? This is the percent of wages currently subsidized by governments around the world due to COVID. Japan is up to 100%, Netherlands 90%, Norway 90%, Germany 87%, and then Canada is 75%, and the United States is 0%. I mean, we do have some unemployment, but not everyone qualifies for unemployment, and then this, like nearly 8 million Americans have fallen into poverty since the summer. That's just a few months where 8 million people have fallen into poverty. That's ridiculous. And then this freaking asshole just comes out and says the best stimulus, a job, 30% of restaurants closed forever. What the hell? I mean, what is wrong with these people? Like, honestly, I would love to just get that guy completely fired and just like, I don't know, exiled somewhere.
Well, yeah, like where I woke up and that was like the first thing I saw this morning. And it's like just an awful way to start your day. You just get that jolt of anger. Like it legitimately makes me very mad as a person. And I don't get usually like, I usually don't read things and go, "Argh." But that like just it's so
disgusting.
I don't even have the words. It's so freaking I'm trying to think of words that can describe how terrible I think it is, but I can't. And maybe they wouldn't be approved for YouTube.
No, it's depraved on a really deep level. It's like, I honestly think it's like an evil villain in some Disney movie where things are black and white. He is basically acting like the evil villain right now. There are plenty of people, sure. I think. There are plenty of people who didn't even like the idea of universal basic income, who were like sitting on, a good job, and they felt all the financial security in the world. And then this hit and they're like, I mean, I need to pay my bills now. Like, and for him to not even recognize that and look at the job, we lost another 800, I think, and 30,000 jobs last week. Again, like, I don't know how these people get off in thinking that, because so many people and like 80% of Americans support it, cash relief, that somehow they're like, all right, we'll stick a $600 in there. Like, is that your idea of negotiating now, Nancy Pelosi? You piece of crap.
What's up, guys? Matt here. If you enjoyed that clip, make sure you head on over to the Paget and Matt Show. It's a new YouTube channel that me and Paget just started. You're gonna love it. We talk about all sorts of things. So head on over, watch the rest of the episode, subscribe, like the video, and we'll see you next time.
Put the money in our hands. 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 Can we afford it? Yes. Will it cause inflation? No. Is it awesome? Yes. Is anyone trying to make it happen? Yeah, that guy.